Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Joel. Today we're going to be using this 36 by 15 inch Artist Loft canvas. I'm also going to be using a piece of this composite material. I'm going to be bending it up, cutting some holes in it, shaping it, and making a cool sculpture. So here's a hole saw blade that I'm going to cut larger holes, and I have a smaller one that I'm going to use to cut some smaller holes. Okay, so you just stick those in a drill and lay the piece down on a chunk of wood and cut your holes out. I'll show you that in a minute. So the first thing I want to do is mask this off because I'm going to change the shape and make it more like a wave or a banner type of shape. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. I need some more followers. I only got 500 or so, so anything you could do that would really help me out. Anyway, so you can see what I'm doing here. Just cutting my tape, and then I'm going to take this to work and cut the edges off and drill the holes. Okay, so just hang out and watch this. I'll see you in a minute. Alright, so to get the background prepared, I'm using this all-purpose joint compound. Alright, and I got a little trowel, and then I'm going to texturize it with this large comb that I've kind of customized. So I'm just going to trowel on some of this joint compound, get it as even as I can, and that's easier said than done because the canvas tends to give in the middle. Even though I sprayed it with water last night to tighten it up, it's still just like a canvas. It's going to give in the middle, so it's hard to get it even. So I ended up cutting some of this footage off. So here it is as even as I could get it, okay? And then I'm going to take my comb and we're going to put some lines in this. I want kind of a flowing, kind of a watery looking design to it. And the idea is I'm going to use two different colors on this. One first that will go down into the lower sections of the canvas, and I will come back with a brighter color on top. So it will enhance the texture. I'm getting this finished up. Gonna let this dry overnight. Actually, it dried for about 3 days because I had quite a bit of compound on there. Just doing a little touch up here. And after it dries, you take some gesso and you gesso it up real good. Make sure so that the compound isn't porous, the paint will cover much better. So that's what I'm doing here. Getting some really good coverage with the gesso. Coming in and removing it from the grooves so that they don't get filled up with gesso. And then we'll let that dry and start adding our colors. Okay, so that dried overnight. Now the first color I have is a deep turquoise blue that I've added some red. So it's turquoise, blue, Liquitex, and Artist Loft bright red. Okay, so that gives it kind of a more purplish look. So that's what I'm using here for the first color. I'm going to brush this down, make sure I get it in all the grooves. I'm going to speed this up again because this took quite a while. I'll get back to you in a minute. Alrighty, so I let that first color dry. Now I'm coming back with the straight turquoise. And as you can see, I have a kind of a flat sponge that I'm loading up with a small palette knife with this turquoise, and I'm going to just scrub the top surfaces so I don't get any down in the grooves, hopefully. That will help with getting some contrast between the two colors, and then when I lay the finished piece of the composite across the top, it should be pretty cool. You should have some motion when you're looking past this piece, because the holes that I drill into the composite piece, you'll be able to see the grooves in the canvas. All right. So now I'm back to my other piece. I'm showing you, I already drilled some holes, and I forgot to have my camera running, so I'm showing you how I did that. And I just lay it on a piece of wood, pull it up, and there you have a hole. So here we are back at home. I have the piece cut out, I have the holes drilled, I sanded it down, beveled the edges, make it nice and smooth. The next portion of this, we're going to be heating it up and bending this piece of composite to get some nice waves in it. So I'm kind of going for diagonal waves in this. So you can see how that bends pretty easily. Want to wear gloves because it does get pretty warm. So I'm going to let you watch me do this here, and I'll get back to you for the next step. Alrighty, so I have my piece shaped the way I want it. I'm going to lay it on this canvas real quick to make sure that it lays flat, has some good contact points. Now I took it to work. I'm going to take a tack rag, that's what this is, and it just removes the lint. Okay, so I'm going to remove the lint. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to apply some adhesion promoter because I want this paint to stick real well. So, like I said, this was sanded and wiped down. That's my adhesion promoter, and we're going to just spray a relatively light coat on it. Just get good coverage. It doesn't have to be shiny. So now I have some sealer that's kind of like a primer, and I shot that on there. Now I'm shooting it silver after that sealer dried. Just a bright silver. Gonna let that dry. Put some little fans on it to speed up the process. I'm gonna come back and put some clear coat, polyurethane clear coat on this so that that base paint is protected. Alrighty, so the next step, I have it back at home. I have a kind of a used red Scotch-Brite, which is equivalent to about 500 grip. And I'm using a little bit of water, just helps keep the dust down. So we're gonna scuff this thing up real good. I'm just scuffing the clear coat so my next paint will stick to that. And I'll show you the next trick. Alright, so I got it all sanded down. Now I'm just wiping it off with some water. I've been wearing gloves the whole time so I don't get fingerprints on it. Taking a tack rag, make sure there's no lint or chunks of anything on there. I'm going to break out some Artist Loft Soft Body Black, and we're going to throw a little water in it to thin it out. And then we're going to stir that up real good. Now you might see that I have a piece of used plastic sheeting or what have you there. So what I'm doing is I'm just using a foam brush, covering that piece of sheeting up, and then we're going to apply that to this piece. Now I ended up putting too much paint on this sheeting. I kind of just dumped too much out. So I'll show you how I corrected that. I pull it off and I have too much paint on there. So I'm just gonna get a rag, and while it's still nice and wet, like I said, I added water to it so it won't dry too fast. I just get some really good coverage. I'm going to get a new piece of sheeting that's wrinkled up. The more wrinkles the better. It gives the cool effect when you peel it off. So I'm just pushing it down, pressing it into that, and here we go. I'm going to start peeling this off now, and you can see what I have for a cool marbling pattern. Alright, so here's a close-up of the marbling pattern that I have on the silver in black. It's pretty cool just as it is. You could clear coat that, call it good. I'm going to be tinting that with some transparent candy paint to get a little more depth and some more color to it to contrast my turquoise background. But here you go, this is what it looks like. Got some really cool patterns in there. Alright, the next step, tack it off again, make sure there's no lint on it. I'm just barely dragging this across here. I don't want to put any pressure and disturb that black paint. I'll be starting over. So the next step after this is to apply the transparent raspberry color that I picked out for this piece. I'm showing you my pressure. I'm using 30 pounds of air pressure, testing my pattern. And here we go. So you can see that's transparent because it's not really covering that white real well. It's just transparent, which is really cool. Alright, so here's a close-up after a couple coats of clear. You can see it shines like a mirror. It's really nice and smooth. It's got a lot of depth. I think it's going to be super cool against that turquoise background. I think the holes are really awesome, and the pattern shows through real well. So here we go for the finished product. I just have it sitting here on my kitchen counter. It's got a little more natural light in here. Gonna zoom in and show you what it looks like. I really like the background on it. It does provide some motion. You have the shadows from the holes, and it counters it with the color and the shape, or the pattern of the background with the kind of wave effect. Anyway, I hope you guys really like it. If you do, please hit that like button for me. That really helps me out. And for gosh sake, subscribe if you haven't. I put as many of these out as I can, and it really helps me if you guys can subscribe and hit that like button. Leave comments. You got questions? Been getting a couple. What products I use, I go into specifics. Anyway, have a great weekend, and I hope to see you guys real soon. Thanks again.